Kaheera in Legacy? That's right. Today we're playing the top 32 list from Eternal Weekend Prague featuring Kaheera the Orphan Guard, Beseech the Mirror, Peer into the Abyss, and other Sweet Storm staples. Let's go check out the full deck list. Why would you even play Kaheera in Storm? Well, it might not be completely obvious, but it's kind of free to do so. So the restrictions on using Kaheera as your companion is that each creature in your deck has to be a cat, elemental, nightmare, dinosaur, or beast. Okay, well, by playing no creatures, we meet that requirement. Okay, so now you get a 6 mana 3/2 Vigilance that doesn't really help out your deck's game plan. Yeah, I can see why that isn't super desirable, but you do get to play Force of Vigor, which is one of the best cards in the format for dealing with things like multiple copies of Chalice of the Void, Blood Moon, and so many other cards. So the idea is that Force of Vigor requires you to play a high green density in order for it to be playable. And in the main deck, we only have 4 copies of Veil of Summer. That's problematic. Well, by playing Kaheera the Orphan Guard, you're able to put this card to your hand for 3 mana. Then you exile it to Force of Vigor. So it's really in the deck to exile. Other than that, this is a pretty stock Storm list. Today we're playing Peer into the Abyss over Ad Nauseam. That was an innovation from the Prague Decklist, and I actually like it quite a bit. I think when you're playing 4 copies of Beseech the Mirror and a Tendrils of Agony, and then you're often priced into boarding in Empty the Warrants to beat Veil of Summer, that's 6 cards that cost 4 mana value. That's a lot. So today we're playing Peer to dodge the mana value restrictions from Ad Nauseam, and I think that's quite brilliant. And other than that, it's pretty stock. I love Song of Creation in these decks, but maybe you don't need it with Peer into the Abyss. Let's go find out. I'll see you in the first match. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can also show your support by becoming a member of this channel. You get sweet perks such as badges, emotes, early access to videos, exclusive members only content, and access to our members Discord section. As you increase the tiers, there are other rewards such as shop discounts, cyborg guides, and even free donation decks. Click the join button down below to find out more. We also have other ways you can support us, like theepicstorm.com/shop or submitting a donation deck via theepicstorm.com/donation decks. That's enough for now. Let's play some Magic. Welcome to match number 1. Yes, I would like to be on the play, and we will start off by revealing our cat companion, Kaheera. Alright, so I've opened up Beseech the Mirror, and I have a Peer into the Abyss. We have protection. This seems fine to me. Likely the Peer into the Abyss is our imprint card for this Chrome Mox, but we'll find out. We will play the Polluted Delta and then just pass the turn. I'm going to pop out my Kaheera so I don't forget. Our opponent plays a turn 1 Dragon's Rage Channeler. Alright, classic matchup of Delver versus Storm. We'll take a draw. Thoughtseize, that was quite a good draw. Okay, so I am pressured here against the tempo deck to get a basic swamp, which means I can't currently cast this Veil of Summer. We have a Force of Will, another Dragon's Rage Channeler, and 2 cantrips. We'll pop out the Revealed Zone and pass the turn. So our opponent can play another Channeler and then fetch and cast Preordain and then likely be Delirious while digging for interaction. They choose to play it a little more safely, and they're going to cast Brainstorm, keeping a card on top with the Surveil 1 trigger. They play the Polluted Delta and another Channeler. Okay. And now they get double Surveil. So they're going to hit the Delirium requirement due to this Mishra's Bauble. Okay. So we don't really know what's left in their hand because they played a Brainstorm. Oh, I guess they didn't hit it. Okay, they're missing Sorcery. So they have 4 cards. We're not exactly sure what they are anymore. And we draw a green source for this Veil of Summer. We'll play the Verdant Catacombs. I don't actually have enough resources to win yet. So I'm going to pass the turn. Because you might be thinking, Bryant, you have 5 mana. You can cast Veil of Summer, Cabal Ritual, cast Beseech the Mirror. But what am I doing after that? So you get a Gaia's Will. You could replay Chrome Mox, and on the replay you could imprint a Peer into the Abyss. But what do you do after that? You've already made your land drop, so you can't replay either land that's in the graveyard. And you have 1 mana. It's a choke point right now. Okay, so our opponent will now be Delirious. They put 2 cards on the bottom. They're attacking for 6 here, so I'm going to end up at 10 life. We'll take a draw. A land is not great, actually. Alright, I'm going to play it, and then let's put Kaheera to our hand. This could actually be a green card to imprint to Chromox. I don't have enough mana to win still, so this Cabal Ritual is a little bit awkward, because it doesn't have Threshold, and with not having Threshold, it doesn't make enough mana to win the game, which is problematic. They play an end step Brainstorm, they surveil a basic island and a Brazen Borrower. Lightning Bolt is a card I'm concerned with here because our opponent has 6 damage on the battlefield. We're at 10, and we have a Verdant Catacombs, which means if I activate this Catacombs, a Lightning Bolt would kill me. A pair of Lightning Bolts would definitely be lethal. They're up to 5 cards in hand now. Okay. I'm at 4, and they're passing with 5 cards. Dark Ritual. There we go. That was a good one. Okay, let's play Chromox. We'll imprint the Kaheera for green! I love you, Kaheera. I didn't even think about the Chromox interaction. Just beautiful. Veil of Summer. They're going to let it go. Interesting. Okay, so now we will play Dark Ritual. Whoops, I tapped an island for that. I guess we can leave a blue floating. Dark Ritual. Now I will cast Cabal Ritual and Beseech the Mirror, sacrificing the Chromox. We will grab Gaea's Will, play the Gaea's Will. Storm is 6. We have 7 cards in graveyard. We aren't going to be able to get to the threshold on Cabal Ritual, so I'm going to start on Dark Ritual, play the Chromox. You might be thinking, Bryant, why not Thoughtseize them so that way you can beat a Stifle? 1, Stifle isn't that popular anymore, and I don't think it's a card you should be playing around. Some people do play it. Like, there's always those people out there. But that doesn't mean that you should play around in obscurity, when the more likely scenario is that our opponent has a Lightning Bolt in hand. And I don't want to play into that. So we're going to avoid casting Thoughtseize or fetching here. We'll sacrifice the Chromox. Kaheera coming up in match 1, game 1? I couldn't have written a better story. Alright, Tendrils of Agony. Boom. Trigger. We got it. No Lightning Bolt death. Alright, we have taken game number 1 over Rug Delver. Although I have to say, if I had to guess right now, our opponent isn't actually playing Delver of Secrets based on some context clues in their deck list. We saw a Basic Island and we also saw a Brazen Borrower. They are likely Delver-less Delver. Okay. We definitely want Carpet of Flowers. I think that's a card we're really interested in. I think we want the Empty the Warrens. Peer into the Abyss is fine. I like Beseiju against them because they have Null Rod, but it's also an additional mana source. I'm a big fan of boarding down on Chromox in this matchup when you're bringing in Carpet of Flowers. Chromox is really there for speed. We're not playing a speed-based matchup. Why you want Chromox in a deck like the one we're playing today is that you're a Beseech the Mirror deck and it fits the bargain requirements. So does Carpet of Flowers. And Carpet of Flowers is better against blue decks, so that's a pretty clean swap for us. We're boarding in the Beseiju, that hits a Null Rod. Well, we only have 8 artifacts in our deck now, but it's, you know, it's an impossible answer. And then we can board out a Cabal Ritual. I think that's fine. And then you could board in another Abrupt Decay or 2. I'm not even sure if I like that, if I'm being honest, but it's an option you have. I think I want to leave in the Peer into the Abyss. Boarding up to 15 lands also seems okay to me. I think I'm going to board out another copy of Cabal Ritual. A lot of lists are only playing 2 these days. The one that made top 32 of Prague happens to be playing 4, but it's not necessarily normal anymore. Do we keep the 5-lander versus Rug Delver? There's a lot of jokes within the Ant community about how you never mulligan, just because like every single card matters so much. I don't know about a 5-lander versus the Tempo deck. I mean, in theory, I think they only have 4 1-drops, and those are Dragon's Rage Channelers. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure our opponent isn't playing Delver of Secrets. We're going to test this out. It could bite me in the tuchus. Alright, so they've played a Mishra's Bauble. That signifies that they don't have a Dragon's Rage Channeler. They kept the Wasteland hand against me? Ooh, the 5-lander looking so good here. Okay, let's start off on a Ponder. Yeah, I definitely want these. We will pass the turn. Nice wasteland. Does it come in playable? Alright, enough of that. We'll play Verdant Catacombs. And actually, I think I'm going to pass. I know the top card of our deck, and I think I want to look at fresh cards off this Brainstorm. And they're going to clean up. They discard the Channeler. I am just happy playing Lango. So, if I cast this Brainstorm, we're giving them a Force of Will target. And they're in a point where they're just discarding every turn. So why would we play spells? I think playing spells is actively bad for us. Veil of Summer, we'll just play another land and pass. And our opponent has shame conceded. Yeah, I mean, I would too. Alright, we're now 1-0 with Kaheera Beseech the Mirror Storm. I'll see you in the second match. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. They support over 30 formats, including Legacy and many other Eternal formats. There are so many options to view decks the way that you want, from text view to individual cards, mana value, and even card price. There's also light mode and dark mode. My personal favorite feature is card tags. This way you can sort cards by function. Moxfield supports collection tracking, Scryfall search, decklist feedback, and so much more. Follow me on Moxfield.com so you can stay updated on all of my decks. Round 2 on the play, revealing our cat. Interesting. This definitely looks like an epic storm hand, I have to say that. Okay, legally obligated or some joke like that. So we could go all in on turn 1 and put Kaheera into play. That's a choice we're allowed to make. I think you're supposed to be disciplined and mulligan this. Yeah, we'll send it back. This is not a great hand either, but you do have the power of Brainstorm. We will keep and bottom the Gaea's Will. Our opponent is also shuffled down to 6 cards. We'll play the Misty Rainforest and pass. They play turn 1 City of Traders into Chalice of the Void on 1. Okay, I'm going to respond with a Brainstorm here. We'll grab Underground Sea and play the Brainstorm. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Well, this is bad. I guess we'll put back a Chrome Mox and the Bayou. We have to draw through this Chalice of the Void now. The upside is that we don't actually have any spells that cost 1, so if I draw an Infernal Tutor or a Beseech the Mirror, we just have the win. But I have to finish drawing through the Brainstorm. So next turn we're drawing a dead copy of Chrome Mox. You might have been thinking, Bryant, why not, play your Cabal Ritual, play out your Kaheera, and then try to win from there? That is a fair question. I just don't think it's what we want to be doing. So we've been Blood Moon, which isn't the end of the world, but it does incentivize me here to play out some of these artifacts. Because if they play a Chalice of the Void on 0, I can't win the game. So we're going to play out these artifacts and then just pass the turn. I'm going to play out 1 copy of Chrome Mox. I want to keep the Cabal Ritual in hand because that will allow us to play the Beseech the Mirror. So our next draw step will be a fresh draw step that we are not Brainstorm locked with. Our opponent plays a Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Okay. Brainstorm. We cannot... Well, I guess I could play it. It would just be countered by Chalice of the Void. So there's no point in casting a Brainstorm. I could imprint it to Chrome Mox, but all of the blue spells in our deck cost 1. So I don't really see the point to imprinting at the moment, but I could sit with it in my hand. They discard a Fury and then draw a card, so they like the other 2 cards in their hand. Goblin Rabblemaster. They want to bring the pain, so they're going to create a 1/1 Goblin and then go to combat and attack for 3. They'll create a treasure token, and I'll take 3 damage going to 16. I only have 1, maybe 2 draw steps left in this game to draw Infernal Tutor or Beseech the Mirror. Dark Ritual was not what I needed. It does allow me to put Kaheera to hand, but that isn't even something I want to do. Because it shuts me off of triple black for bargain. I'll pass. Hypothetically, if I had held on to the Chrome Mox, we could have played 2 Chrome Moxes and printed for black and put it to hand, and then sacrificed a Lion's Eye Diamond to play a blocker. That could have been an option. Uh-oh, we might be dead here. 16? Let's see how much they can do. They get to fling the Goblin Rabble Master at me. Pretty sure I'm dead. I'm at 4 life, and then they can use this Bombardiers to throw the Rabble Master at me. That would be 5 damage. Unless I'm not understanding this correctly. They tried to boast, but it says that it was removed from the stack because it had no legal targets. I'm a little confused by that. Are they just toying with me? They play a Fable of the Mirror Breaker. I don't know what just happened there. We'll take a draw step. That is not going to get the job done. So we will go to game number 2. Unfortunate. We never found an Infernal Tutor or a Beseech the Mirror to win the game there. And it looks like we did not have one coming either. Okay. So we know we're facing Prison, which means that we get to use the Force of Vigor game plan. So we're going to board our Force of Vigors in. The Kaheera stays in the sideboard. And then we bring in Abrupt Decay and Beseiju, who endures. And what's nice about this Force of Vigor plan is you can actually cast it through Blood Moon. I believe we want Empty the Warrens. We'll board out Beseech... Oh, I'm sorry. We want to keep in Beseech the Mirror. We'll board out Peer into the Abyss down on... It's actually cut off on the screen, but, you know, it's fine. Even though Veil of Summer is a green card, you don't actually want it in the deck versus a deck like Mono Red Stompy or Mono Red Prison. So we're going to board that out. And now we're at 62 cards. We have to find a couple more cards to sideboard out here. Okay. I'm going to do something that people aren't going to like. We boarded in Beseiju. I'm going to board out the second copy of Underground Sea. I want to keep at 14 lands because we're not really looking to make tons of land drops. And on top of that, like, extra non-basics, we're not facing a Wasteland deck. Like, this card is just, it's, obviously it's one of the best lands ever printed, but in this specific matchup, you just don't need it. So we're going to board out the second copy. And now we're at 61. I'm going to board out the 4th copy of Cabal Ritual, and we will try this. Okay. Game number 2, we will reveal our Cat Companion. Ooh, this hand is so close. I'm going to keep it. It might bite me in the butt. Okay, I'm going to lead off on the Misty Rainforest. This way I can grab a basic island, basic mountain, Null Rod. I don't have any artifacts at the moment, so I don't actually mind a Null Rod. I'm going to choose to draw. I could have played an end-step Brainstorm there, but I chose not to. And I'll grab my basic, and we'll cast the Brainstorm. I would have needed like a near-perfect Brainstorm in order for the end-step Brainstorm to be worthwhile to me. I don't think I want 4 lands when I'm an Infernal Tutor deck, so I'm going to put one of those back on top. And let's play the Verdant Catacombs, and I'll pass the turn. And I do think I want to redraw the Lotus Petal, because that will help me win the game on my next turn. They play a Shatter Skull, Unlicensed Hearse. I don't care about that. That's fine. Okay, so we're going to redraw the Lotus Petal. I'll play my basic Swamp. And now I'm going to go fetch that Bayou, which is actually the top card of our deck. And there's nothing stopping us here from playing Dark Ritual as our black mana. Because if you don't lead on Dark Ritual, you end up with a basic island that's a little bit awkward. So now I'm going to kill this Null Rod, which makes the Unlicensed Hearse be able to activate. We'll play a Lotus Petal and another Lotus Petal, Dark Ritual, Firm is 5, tap for a blue, and then we'll cast Infernal Tutor floating 3 black. Ad Nauseam is not in our deck. Reminder, it is not in our deck. But what I can grab here, well, I guess I could actually grab a Beseech the Mirror into Empty the Warrens. That's actually probably a little bit better. All right, we'll grab Beseech the Mirror. And I have to pay the 4th mana with one of these Lotus Petals, but I get to bargain the other. So this is going to be 16 1/1 goblins. And our opponent concedes. They weren't actually dead to a Tendrils, but they didn't want to play it out. I don't know what else to say. All right, so now we're going to game number 3. We are on the draw this time. This hand seems good to me. Keep. When you're a deck that uses the traditional Ad Nauseam Tendril shell, you're not really allowed to mulligan for turn 1 wins. It's different from the Epic Storm where we have a little bit more speed in our deck due to things like Mox Opal, where in Ant you have more excuse me, more lands instead. They play Chrome Mox, imprinting Blood Moon, and another Blood Moon. Okay, well, we have all non-basic lands in our hand, unfortunately. They have 3 cards left. We drew the basic island. How lucky. Cast Ponder. Red Elemental Blast incoming. They exile the Spirit Guide. And they do, in fact, Red Blast or Ponder. Wow. Okay. We have 4 more lands in our hand. Magus of the Moon. This looks like it might end up being a little bit of a slower game. Oh my. We ripped the Force of Vigor and we have Kaheera in the exile. Oh, this is going to be so good. I guess they have a Magus. Okay, that's not as good as I thought it was going to be. I got too excited. Forgive me. Magus in the Moon being relevant here. Okay. 3 mana for a Fable. Okay, we'll draw. Play the non-basic. Put Kaheera to hand. And now we're going to go to their upkeep. Inside of their upkeep, I'm going to Force of Vigor, killing the Blood Moon and Fable of the Mirrorbreaker. Getting rid of the Kaheera. I don't want the Fable of the Mirrorbreaker to trigger, which is why I'm doing this now. We're actually in a decent spot if I'm able to draw a card to bargain to Beseech the Mirror. Okay, they have 1 random card in their hand. We're at 14 life. They pass. We draw another land. So keep in mind, this is a mountain. I could not play this and use Beseiju. They'll attack again for 4. I'm going to fall to 10 life. 3 mana for a hardcast Simian Spirit Guide. Time is running out. That just reduced the clock by a single turn. Infernal Tutor. I can go get another Dark Ritual here, but that's about it. So let's play the Infernal Tutor. Grab a Dark Ritual. I guess, theoretically, next turn I could empty the Warrens using Beseech the Mirror's alternative mode. Alright, so we might be an Empty the Warrens gamer next turn if I don't draw an artifact. 3 mana. Maddening Hex? What? Wild. That's probably going to do it. I have the Beseiju, but if I play Lotus Petal, I'm probably just dead, and that's my best draw at the moment. We'll take a draw step. The Brainstorm. I mean, I have to play it and hope that Maddening Hex doesn't kill me. It rolls a 4 and we lose the match. Let's see what the 3 cards would have been. Dark Ritual, Fluted Delta, and Lotus Petal. So I would have had to be able to play the Lotus Petal, not die, Beseiju the Maddening Hex, and then triple Dark Ritual, Beseech the Mirror. That would have been the play. But instead we lost the match. It happens. Talk trash, sometimes you lose. Alright, I am now 1-1, 3 matches left to go. Looking to make playing your favorite combo deck much easier? Look no further than the Epic Storm Mini Token Combo Pack, which is available at theepicstorm.com/shop for $14.99. This combo token pack comes with 84 double-sided tokens. That includes our classic Storm and mana tokens, as well as fan favorites such as Goblins, Squirrels, and Slime Time Live. But that's not all. We've expanded this token pack to cover a variety of formats with new tokens. Stop on by theepicstorm.com/shop and make an easy decision to elevate your combo game. Round number 3, we are on the play. Revealing our Kaheera the Orphan Guard. Interesting. I don't know what our opponent's playing, but this actually seems okay. I'll keep. And you might be saying, Bryant, this hand is a mulligan, you have Gaia's Will in it. Well, we also have Tropical Island. We're able to suspend this Gaia's Will on turn 1 and play the slightly longer game. Play the Tropical Island and then the Lotus Petal. Suspend Gaia's Will. And we'll pass the turn. Our opponent plays a Bloodstained Mire and Mishra's Bauble. They use the Bauble on themselves. And now they're passing. Okay, so we'll draw a card off the Bauble. I'm sorry, they'll draw a card off the Bauble, and then my Gaia's Will suspend happens. So this will go down to 3 counters and we'll take a draw. Bayou is actually a very good draw for us. Are you playing the Epic Storm? Do you have a Veil of Summer in your hand? It looks like they are in fact playing the Epic Storm and have a Veil of Summer in their hand. Yep. Okay. Hard to be mad about them playing such a sweet combo deck. We will pass the turn. Okay, so it's not the Epic Storm. They Thoughtseize me. I will cast Veil of Summer. No one makes me bleed my own blood. Alright, Thoughtseize fizzles. They're not passing. We're a Dark Ritual away from a possible... No, Gaia's Will is in exile. I forgot. Okay, so that's on 2 counters. We draw Thoughtseize. Let's play it. Do you have a second Veil of Summer? They do! That is not cool. Okay. I have to pass the turn here. I have to hope that we're not dead. They Thoughtseize. So they're probably going to take the Infernal Tutor here. I can't actually cast Beseech the Mirror. And our Gaia's Will is in exile. They do in fact take the Infernal Tutor. And they're passing again with Bayou untapped. Gaia's Will goes down to 1 suspend counter. We draw another Infernal Tutor. Okay, so what can we do here? I think the best possible thing for us to do, and this is going to sound crazy, is Infernal Tutor for a Veil of Summer and pass the turn. It pretty much guarantees our ability to untap. But in order to do so, I'm going to have to sacrifice my hand and this Lion's Eye Diamond to do so. Holding priority, and then I'll add 3 black. Infernal Tutor. So there's no Past in Flames, not that we could. We can't Beseech the Mirror because, well, I mean, I could cast it, but I can't bargain, and the Gaia's Will is in exile. So our best move is honestly just grabbing Veil of Summer and passing the turn. So that's what we're going to do here. The old mirror match. I guess they have Mishra's Baubles, though. They cast a copy of Chrome Mox, imprint Song of Creation, and they play a Brainstorm. I do like Song of Creation quite a bit. It's just such a good card to get off your Beseech the Mirrors. Like every time I play a deck like this, I end up missing the Song of Creation that the Epic Storm has. They cast a copy of Cabal Ritual with Threshold. Now Beseech the Mirror, floating a single black mana. Gaia's Will. Mishra's Bauble. They play a copy of Chrome Mox. Are you going to imprint? No imprint. Threshold Cabal Ritual. They Thoughtseize, and now I will Veil of Summer. Infernal Tutor is the draw. Not bad. And now they Beseech the Mirror, storm count 11. They are shields down as far as I know. They have no ability to play Veil of Summer on my turn. Empty the Warrens for 12. So this is a spot where I feel like both of these decks are worse than the Epic Storm. When that's when you're playing the Veil of Summer Mirror. Because with the Epic Storm, you have Burning Wish. And with Burning Wish, you're able to, you know, go get that Grapeshot and just win through a Veil of Summer. Where here, our opponent made a pretty sizable amount of goblins, and now they're going to lose the game. Okay, I will cast Gaia's Will the hard way. Storm 1. We'll take a draw for the turn. It's a land, we'll play it. And now I can cast this Infernal Tutor from my hand. And we'll go grab a Lion's Eye Diamond. So that is not only Storm, but it's also +1 mana. We'll activate the Misty Rainforest. Grab an Underground Sea. Sacrifice this Lion's Eye Diamond for 3 black. It goes to exile. We'll play another copy of Lion's Eye Diamond. Let's add some more mana. We'll play a copy of Infernal Tutor. We'll go grab another copy of Lion's Eye Diamond. Play the Lion's Eye Diamond. Storm is 6. You can see where this is going now. And now I will cast a Thoughtseize. Might as well. They had a 3rd Veil in hand, but no green mana. Play the Lotus Petal. Storm is 8. And then we don't even need Beseech the Mirror here. I can just Infernal Tutor for the copy of Tendrils of Agony. Cast it. That is Tendrils of Agony. And that is game number 1. We are now going to the post-board games. Okay, so I think we want the Surgical here. Maybe the Tormod's Crypt. We probably are forced to bring in Empty the Warrens. So that's 3 cards I'm interested in, but what are we boarding out? I don't really know. I kind of feel like the Peer into the Abyss is a little too clunky for this matchup. And then let's shave 1 Cabal Ritual, and let's board out a land. Probably the Beesech Island. Try this out. Game number 2, revealing our Kaheera once again. This Gaia's Will, what are you doing to me? We will mulligan. Sounds pretty good. Keep, and let's get rid of the Beseech the Mirror. We don't have any bargainable cards right now. And I like the lower to the ground card in Infernal Tutor at the moment. They grab Bayou and play a Thoughtseize. Yeah, that's what I imagined was going to happen. So Veil of Summer is discarded. They have 5 cards left in their hand. We draw another Ponder. Let's play one of them. And we look at that darn Gaia's Will again. We're going to shuffle this. Empty the Warrens. Another copy of Thoughtseize. They take my Brainstorm. Looks like our opponent is stuck on 1 land at the moment. We'll play Ponder. I do kind of like this. We'll take the Veil of Summer here. And we'll play Verdant Catacombs, pass the turn. Something you could have done, and it's like an ultra bluff, is you purposely play the land that your opponent doesn't know about. So that way, they try to jam, and they end up losing the game. So that wasn't the case here, unfortunately, and we're going to cast this Veil of Summer. Okay. Dark Ritual is fine. There is no red fetchable land in our deck for Empty the Warrens. No Volcanic Island, no Badlands. This card is currently stuck in our hand because our opponent discarded our Brainstorm. They play an Urza's Saga, and now they're passing the turn. They have 5 cards. You draw another land. Flooding a little bit here. Urza's Saga goes to the 2nd chapter. And they're passing. I'm going to fetch just to thin a land out of our deck here. I still have another fetch land for Brainstorm purposes, so we're just trying to draw something here. Okay, so Petal was okay. I can Dark Ritual. This is a little bit of a sketchy line, but I think it's worthwhile. We're going to now empty the Warrens. It's only for 6. That's it. 6 1/1 goblins. It is not very impressive. And then I'm going to play Infernal Tutor. We can go grab a Veil of Summer. Okay, pass the turn. That's what I've got. Our opponent, using the 3rd ability of the Urza's Saga here, floating a colorless mana, so they can go get an artifact from their deck that costs either 0 or 1. You cannot get a card that costs X or XX, so you cannot get a Chalice of the Void or Engineered Explosives, but you can get Lotus Petal or Lion's Eye Diamond, Tormod's Crypt, Pything Needle, all sorts of things. Wishclaw Talisman, sure thing. So we have Black Saga Storm versus Beseech the Mirror Ant Storm. Come on, deck. Be good. Ball Ritual is not it. I would have loved to have drawn a Beseech the Mirror there. Swing for 6. Our opponent will go to 9. Pass the turn. They have a full hand. I'm wondering what they have. Like, this just doesn't make sense to me that they haven't done anything all game. Are they just sitting on a ton of Veil of Summers? Another Dark Ritual draw. Swing for 6 and pass the turn. The pressure is on our opponent at this point. I should have put Kaheera up here so that way I'd remember to put her to my hand. But I don't know if I would have tapped out at any point to put Kaheera to my hand. Or play her when I lose the ability to protect my protect my Veil of Summer from Flusterstorm. Our opponent said GG's opponent, and now we're 2-1 with Kaheera Beseech the Mirror Storm. Round number 4 coming right up. If you're still watching, make sure to give this video a like, comment, and subscribe. While you're near the description, here's a reminder to use our affiliate links if you're going to make a purchase from Amazon, Card Hoarder, or TCG Player. Just above those affiliate links, you'll find our social channels. Make sure to join those to connect with us. Alright, the 4th match on the play, revealing our cat friend. Okay, so we have... This is just turn 1 lethal. Yeah, I'm into turn 1 lethal. I don't know about you, but I like winning. So we will keep. I don't know. Do you like doing cool things? Oh, me neither. Yeah, definitely not. Chrome Mox. We're going to imprint this Peer into the Abyss. Tap for black. Cast a Dark Ritual. Play Lotus Petal. Lion's Eye Diamond. And now I'm going to hold priority and cast Infernal Tutor. We will now sacrifice this Lion's Eye Diamond for 3 black. And Infernal Tutor goes and gets Beseech the Mirror. You cast Beseech the Mirror, sacrificing the Chrome Mox. And now we get Gaia's Will. We're going to hold priority on the Gaia's Will, and in response, sacrifice this Lotus Petal for black. We can now replay our graveyard into a lethal copy of Tendrils of Agony. Okay. Infernal Tutor. I'm going to go grab another Lion's Eye Diamond here. So this is a total of 7 mana, which means that I can Infernal Tutor for a Thoughtseize for information too. Grab that Thoughtseize. Play it. Ooh, you're on Karn Forge. Look what you get. Look what you get. Yeah, you deserve to lose when you register Karn the Great Creator. We'll play a Chrome Mox, no imprint, and then Beseech the Mirror, sacrificing the Chrome Mox. Storm 16. And now Storm 17. 17 Drills of Agony. Hi-oh. Love it. I love it. So easy. Now we need to get a post-board game versus the Karn the Great Creator deck. Well, our sideboard is not set up to beat Karn the Great Creator. Fun fact. But we do have this Empty the Warrens that will come in. I think we want the Beseech who endures. Veil of Summer is kind of a dead card, so we're going to board all of those out. And I think that we can board in a couple copies of Force of Vigor. I don't see myself ever getting to Peer into the Abyss mana, and I'll bring in the third copy of Force of Vigor. Let's try this out. We have opened up another turn 1 win. That said, we're on the draw, and we don't know what our opponent's up to, so we're going to keep this and kind of just hope for the best here. Keep. Leyline of the Void. Well, that's going to stop my turn 1 win, but we do have a turn 1 Empty the Warrens for a bunch, which is going to be the game plan. We draw another copy of Chrome Mox. So let's do some counting here. Alright, so Brainstorm off Lotus Petal. I'd have to hit... Does it even work? I won't lie, this would be a good spot for Ad Nauseam over that Peer into the Abyss, because I could play an Ad Nauseam on turn 1 here through the Leyline of the Void. So if I play Lotus Petal, Brainstorm, Beseech is a land, Chrome Mox is a mana source, I imprint the Beseech the Mirror, so I'd have to find another mana. Wait, is this guaranteed as long as I draw an imprintable? I think it actually might be, because the Brainstorm replaces itself, and then I could... Yeah, okay, I think the Brainstorm is free. So we're going to play the Brainstorm. So Chrome Mox imprints Beseech. We have Beseech already. That's a guaranteed 2. And then, yeah, as long as I draw a card that imprints, playing the Brainstorm is free. We will cast Brainstorm. We do draw an imprintable. I'm going to put the Beseech back in the deck, because I think that's a card I would like to draw. Okay, we'll play Polluted Delta. Imprint this Beseech the Mirror. Imprint the Infernal Tutor. Play Lion's Eye Diamond. We will fetch. Let's grab Tropical Island. Hold priority on Infernal Tutor. And I will add 3 red mana. Actually, hold on. Do we just have lethal here? Crack for black. I think I might have lethal. I wasn't even thinking about Beseech the Mirror chains. But I think this might just win the game on its own. Beseech the Mirror sacrificing Chrome Mox from 7. Beseech the Mirror. Sacrifice Chrome Mox, it's from 8. Oh, I can Empty the Warrens for 18 or Tendrils of Agony for 18. It's just going to be Empty the Warrens. Okay, so they get 1 use of their Ancient Tomb here. 1. A single Ancient Tomb activation, that's it. Okay. We were so close to victory there. 1 more Storm would have done it. In hindsight, I shouldn't have gone Tropical Island. Knowing that this was going to end up being my game plan, I should have gotten an Underground Sea in case I drew a Thoughtseize. But I didn't know that this was the line we were taking. And our opponent just said GG's. GG's opponent, we are now 3-1. 1 match left to go. With Card Hoarder, renting your favorite combo deck has never been easier. There isn't a more affordable solution for Magic Online. Want to play the deck in this video? Check out the pinned comment below to easily rent the deck from Card Hoarder. Did you know you can rent the Epic Storm from Card Hoarder for as little as 7 tickets a week? We've made it simple to do so by including a button to rent the entire deck at theepicstorm.com/decklist. The 5th and final match, we are on the play versus XJ Cloud, a Stacks Prison, sort of player, almost rarely plays blue. So we're really looking for fast hands against an opponent like this, and they're highly skilled. They know the matchups, so they know they're facing a combo deck, and they know what to do in those matchups. So they're looking for Chalice of the Void on 1, Chalice 0, Trinisphere, Blood Moon, Dahlia, Guardian of Thraben, all those sorts of things. So we have our work cut out for us. Here we have a possible turn 2 win. And I think that means that this is good enough to keep. We're going to play out our Lion's Eye Diamond to avoid Chalice of the Void on 0, and then play our Verdant Catacombs to avoid Blood Moon. And from there, if our opponent does play a Blood Moon, we can fetch the basic swamp. If they don't play a Blood Moon, we can respond to whatever they do with the Brainstorm. And then something like Chalice of the Void on 1 won't really matter because I don't have any more 1-drops. So that's my game plan at the moment. Den of the Bugbear. So this is likely Moon Stompy. They play Chalice of the Void on 0. Okay. And they're going to pass the turn. I think I'm going to just take a... I mean, I could Brainstorm, but I'm not quite sure what we're doing off a Brainstorm here. I'm going to untap and just get a full Brainstorm with the fetch land. Ooh, that's good, because now I can get a pair of basics, and now Blood Moon won't matter. Grab that basic island. Let's see if we can find a Thoughtseize. Play the Brainstorm. Interestingly enough, Veil of Summer does stop Chalice of the Void on 0. So I think here, I want to put back Beseech the Mirror and Infernal Tutor, and then next turn I have a win through Chalice of the Void. I guess what would... I guess I should put Beseech the Mirror on top in case something goes wrong. That would actually be a little bit better. Pass the turn. City of Traders. Magus of the Moon. So this is going to stop my Veil of Summer line. We can go grab a basic swamp. Okay, so it's tough because I can't Beseech the Mirror right now. And I can't play the Veil of Summer. Yeah, maybe I was supposed to keep Beseech in hand and possibly draw Infernal Tutor. Because I could at least Beseech the Mirror in this spot. But it couldn't be for Gaea's Will due to the Chalice of the Void. We'll play the land. Pass the turn. They have a third land. Goblin Rabblemaster. We'll take 3 going down to 15. Draw for turn. It's a Dark Ritual. That's pretty good. Can we win from here? I think we might be able to. So Dark Ritual is the 4th card to the graveyard. Lion's Eye Diamond would be the 5th. It would be countered by Chalice of the Void. I could then Infernal Tutor using 2 mana from Dark Ritual. Okay, so I'd have a black mana floating. I then cast Cabal Ritual with Infernal Tutor on the stack. Sack this, discard, yeah. Okay, so I can play some spells, but is that 7 mana? I would actually need 8 mana. So let's go back and count the mana here. So Dark Ritual off the swamp. Let's just count the Cabal Ritual and in the Infernal Tutor tapping this. So that's 8. Yeah, this should work. Lion's Eye Diamond. This is Peer into the Abyss. Dark Ritual. Okay, I'm now going to hold priority. Cast this Infernal Tutor. Now I'm going to cast Cabal Ritual holding priority. Discard my hand to the Lion's Eye Diamond. If I sack for green, I could actually Veil of Summer through the Chalice of the Void. I think that's a little bit better here. We have 9 mana. Infernal Tutor now resolves. We will go grab Peer into the Abyss. And I can cast the Peer targeting me. We'll leave 1 green mana floating. And 1 black mana floating. So we have Soul Tie mana floating. And I can now Veil of Summer to ignore the Chalice of the Void. And this should just be an easy win from here. Okay. Dark Ritual. Play a Cabal Ritual. Lion's Eye Diamond. And our opponent concedes. 1 game away from a 4-1. Nice. We'll bring in the Force of Vigors. Abrupt Decay. Beseiju. Empty the Warrens. Even though Peer into the Abyss was really good, we're going to board it out. Same thing with these Veil of Summers. It's just, you can't rely on them being good. That's my opinion. So, we're at 62. Could probably board out a Cabal Ritual. And I think an Underground Sea again. Let's try this out. So if you wanted to play hyper cautiously, something you could think about is leaving in Veil of Summer specifically for Chalice on 0. And then Force of Vigor. But it assumes that your opponent is always going to Chalice 0. And then you have a dead card in your hand. In order to keep in the Veil of Summer, I think you have to board out key components to your deck. So you'd need to board out like Thoughtseize. I mean, Thoughtseize on the draw isn't the craziest thing. Am I that crazy? On the draw, Thoughtseize doesn't seem that insane to me. On the play, I definitely want Thoughtseize, but I guess we'll try this out. Okay, I talked myself into it. I don't think that this is a great plan, but I think it's worth trying on the draw. Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Kaheera! Well, we have our Veil of Summer. I'm going to keep. This hand is incredibly sketchy, but I'm going to keep it. I really like having Beseech for Blood Moon or Trinisphere, even Leyline of the Void. They play a turn 1 Den of the Bugbear. Cabal Ritual was the draw. We're just going to play our fetch land that can get a basic swamp and pass. We already have the island. They play a mountain. Fable. Okay. They have 3 cards left in their hand. I'm going to fetch just to thin. We have a lot of lands in our hand. Abrupt Decay. I actually don't mind that as a draw step. I'm going to kill the Fable of the Mirror Breaker and stop them from fixing their hand. And I'm going to grab a Bayou. Let's kill the Fable. Pass the turn. They create a treasure token using the Goblin Shaman token. Chalice of the Void on 0. We have the Veil of Summer for that. Unlicensed Hearse. That's good against Cabal Ritual. They have 2 cards left. We draw another fetch land. I'm going to kill the Unlicensed Hearse. I don't think mana is their choke point anymore. They exile 2 cards, sure. And then we'll play another land. Pass the turn. They have 3 cards at this point. They're not really doing a whole lot. I'm a little bit nervous that one of them might be Mindbreak Trap, and that we're stuck with this useless Veil of Summer in our hand. Another Hearse. That's unfortunate for us. Okay. We draw Ponder, that's fine. Let's play that. Red Elemental Blast. This might be a decent time to use this Veil of Summer. Okay, I can't believe I'm doing this. Here we go. Our Ponder will resolve. And I can now play a Chromox through Chalice of the Void. And there's a Lion's Eye Diamond. Okay. That ended up working very well for us. We can fetch down to 13. Grab Tropical Island. Play a Chromox. It cannot be countered. We will not imprint. Cabal Ritual, Storm is 5. Lion's Eye Diamond, Storm 6. Hold priority on Infernal Tutor. We will sacrifice the Lion's Eye Diamond for black. Okay. Your last card, a Mindbreak Trap. We will cast Beseech the Mirror. Storm's 8. So if I got Gaea's Will here, our opponent does have an Unlicensed Hearse. They could remove the Beseech the Mirror and the Infernal Tutor. Instead, we're going to make 18 1/1 Goblin tokens. Okay, here we go. They remove 2 Goblins. No Mindbreak Trap. Okay. They have 2 cards in their hand. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. So, not Fiery Confluence, at least not yet. We are going to attack for some number. We're going to leave some Goblins back. 4 back seems fine. They can block 2 here and take 12. Oh, I guess I should have put Kaheera in my hand. I hit the F6 key. Kaheera should be in my hand at the moment if I wasn't being lazy. That's my bad. There really should be this cat in my hand. They discard a Null Rod. And we win! We went 4-1 with the top 32 Eternal Weekend Prague list. That was sweet. I loved it. Alright, so what did I think of the deck list? Kaheera plus Force of Vigor? Not bad. I think it's worth testing more. I don't have any super strong opinions, but it's not a meme. Like, it's actually very, very playable. The Peer into the Abyss, we boarded it out a number of times. We cast it once. There was one time where it should have been, or would have been much better as an Ad Nauseam. I don't really feel super strongly on Peer into the Abyss versus Ad Nauseam, but it's nice not caring about your life total in a deck with tons of 4-drops in it. So I'd probably continue to try the Peer into the Abyss, but overall, I thought the deck list was very well rounded. It felt pretty good overall. I mean, the one match we lost was still fairly close. So yeah, deck list seems sweet. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Have a great day. And as always, keep storming. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to support the channel. After you do that, open up our description where you can find all of our social media networks, including our Discord, where you can discuss today's deck in that Discord with me and tons of other combo masterminds. It's absolutely free to join, and it's certainly worth your while.